You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for our second show of the T20 Cricket World Cup in the USA and West Indies. On this show we've got the debut of some big guns. India were in action, England were half in action, and Uganda, we've got our first look at Uganda. Ross, were you excited by Uganda to kick off the show?
Yeah, I was actually. It's always nice to see someone like you haven't really seen before play. So it's the spectacle is always quite nice. But unfortunately, that spectacle is more of like when you're driving on the motorway and you drive past a car crash and you can't really take your eyes off it, as they were bowled out for 58. And we also got to see the support that the Nepalese have in the United States, which is not to be underestimated, as they played the mighty Oranges.
Mighty Oranges?
Yeah, the Netherlands.
Orange pizzas.
The orange pizzas. Yeah, how good does their kit look? Their kit, by the pictures, was one thing. In action, that 90s retro kit is sweet from the Dutch.
Oh, they've won the kit wars immediately. 100%. On the pod, we'll be doing all the games from the last couple of days, key talking points, etc. Before we get going, though, just a shout out to Manscaped. Manscaped.com is where you need to go. And then you need to use the code CricketPod for 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped will take care of your balls. They'll take care of your face. They'll take care of your aromas with their lovely roll-on deodorant. And they'll take care of your underwear situation. Boxers, highly recommend wearing them now. Head over to manscaped.com. Use the code CricketPod for 20% off plus free shipping. That's in the show notes. But if you want to just type it in once more, that's manscaped.com. Use the code CricketPod for 20% off plus free shipping. Here are the games we'll be talking about. I'm going to summarize them. Max did a really good job of this yesterday, I thought. Or not yesterday. It all feels like one day, doesn't it? The problem with a 24-hour cricket calendar is that it does just feel like a constant onslaught. He did a good job 2 days ago, whenever we last did a podcast. Afghanistan, they took on Uganda. Afghanistan, they batted first, which was probably good for the spectacle, good for people who had tickets. They racked up 183 runs. The openers doing pretty well. Zadran and Gurbaz carrying on some of their form from the 50 over World Cup, both notching 50s. Then when it came to the bowling, they were just a little bit too good for the Ugandans. I think it's fair to say. Fazalak Farooqi, probably tournament best figures.
Yeah, 5 for 9. You're going to take that with the bench warmer for Sunrisers Hyderabad this year.
Yep. Then we had, Then we had, these games happened at the same time, but I'm trying to they didn't happen at the same time because there was rain. Scotland v England was rained off. Scotland, maybe they could have won that. We'll be talking about that in part 2. Nepal, they took on the Netherlands. Nepal had some great fans, but their cricketers could not live up to the fandom. They fell short. Netherlands chasing that down with 8 balls and 6 wickets in hand. Potentially, there was a moment, Ross, where a catch or two could have brought Nepal into the game, but it didn't happen. And then finally, we've got Ireland v India on a interesting pitch in New York. The Irish were rolled for 96 and India chased it down, taking a few blows along the way. Rohit Sharma off, retired hurt at one point. They chased it down with, give or take, 8 overs to go. Ross, we're going to start with Ireland v India because it just happened, because it's the first major favourite we've seen complete a match. India, pretty clinical, weren't they?
Yeah, and I think that you saw here what we anticipated in the preview, that even though some of the pitches might be a little bit ropey, this India team is kind of well set up for that, right? That from a technical perspective, they've got some of the best cricketers in the world. And someone like Rohit Sharma showed again here how good he really is. And yeah, he went off retired hurt. We're hoping it's not too bad because, yeah, he's a big game player, right? Old Rohit. And he's my first pick out of the Patreon draft of the World Cup. So if he's out, I'm going to lose after one game. But I'm sure he'll be fine. He probably just wanted to give Sky a go, and Sky managed to throw his wicket away. Ireland with the bat, however, it was. I think the pitch did come into it. You were looking at some of it. There was a couple of loose shots here and there, but there was a grubber that got one of the wickets that kind of just didn't bounce. There was one where it could have broken the bloke's hand off of kind of Bumrah as well, and it just doesn't seem like the the venue that you need it to be. If you're the ICC and you've just poured £30 million into getting this venue set up, and you've got the whole thing is orchestrated around building the Indian audience and getting US folk to kind of buy into it, getting a team rolled for 97 where the pitch has played a big part of it that's a bit of a PR nightmare, I think, that the ICC are walking into.
I think from a PR perspective, it was probably good that Ireland batted first. I don't necessarily think that India would have lost, but I think India could easily have ended up in a more tricky situation than transpired to happen. Rohit, by the way, he said after the game that he felt fine, just a little bit sore, and it was a really nasty blow that he took, like flush on the funny bone. So I'm sure he doesn't feel great, but he didn't seem to indicate that it was anything worse than just a sort of impact injury. So yeah, hopefully he will be fine. But yeah, that pitch was it's just not very good. Like, the problem with it is, like, I think we've just seen an IPL, Ross, haven't we, where there was loads and loads of runs. There were so many runs it made runs pointless at some points. Like, it was just like, there goes another 6. And I think we all suspected that this tournament would have trickier wickets. I don't think anyone's got a problem with that. I don't think anyone's got a problem with bowlers, in quotes, being brought back into the game a little bit. The problem here is that the pitch was bad on all fronts. Like, some balls flew off the surface, some stick in the wicket, some go left, some go right, some bounce up, some bounce down. Now, you can have, and you expect on a cricket pitch, there to be some of those variations. You often get pitches that are a little bit up and down, or that move side to side, especially here in England. It's really uncommon for a pitch not to move side to side, in fact. But for it to be doing everything wrong, basically at random, was pretty nuts. And that's borne out in the false shot stats, which is a useful indicator for this sort of thing. Rohit Sharma, he faced 37 balls, Ross. 18 of those were false shots. Now, you would expect in a T20 match, normally you're out every 6.5 balls, so you could doesn't quite work like this. You could say Rohit Sharma had 3 times the amount of luck that he would expect. But it shows what it shows is that Rohit Sharma really struggled against one of the smaller teams here to get going, and that his 52 off 37 was very well earned and was a proper battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And this is the part, you saw it when, I know we're English people, right? So we kind of always have the scars when India go to kind of Ahmedabad. And what I was always really impressed by Rohit Sharma was, regardless of the track and regardless of what the other teams have done and people losing their heads around him, Rohit has shown time and time again that he can conquer bad pitches. And regardless of the bowling lineups that are coming up, you can only play what you're up against, right? And the Irish bowling lineup isn't bad, right? It's going to still present challenges. And yeah, here I thought he did really, really well. And yeah, I'm glad that he's going to be okay. The batting lineup for India I found quite interesting as well. Like, Jaiswal not in the team. That's bad for your fantasy team, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
Very
Virat
bad.
Kohli, Virat Kohli, like, we want him to be opening up. I don't think there's a space in. It's real for this, but in T20 cricket, I don't think you get the luxury of having Virat at 3-4 in that you have to up with him because of the rate he produces against spin and etc. He showed in the IPL that he can go against that a little bit, and obviously it's Virat Kohli. But I kind of liked what they were doing here. And sending in Rishabh Pant as well was, I thought, a really nice move from them. The intent at the top, we've seen in the last couple of games, like the Netherlands playing, they try to take it deep when you're chasing a small total. Here, they were just like, fuck that, we're going to send in Rishabh Pant, you go chance your arm, because anything can happen on this pitch. And I thought it's a positive step for India, that one.
I'd agree with that. I think India's 2 best bad pitch players scored all the runs. It made sense to use them where they did. I think India have said Rishabh Pant will bat at 3 for the tournament, and I think if they're not going with Jaiswal, and he didn't have a great IPL to be fair, then that is the most logical way to use the resources that they've got. That gets a left-hander further up the order. Rishabh Pant's got a bit of experience of batting 3 in the IPL and maybe in international cricket as well. So he's not going to be out of his depth there. And if the pitches are bad, I mean, like, I genuinely think, like, we were talking about how Rohit was maybe a little bit lucky to last as long as he did, but I do think on those wickets, that is the way to go. Because if you do what Ireland did, which was to try and play proper cricket, on that minefield, to be perfectly honest, you're just going to get out. And when you do hit the ball, you're going to get at best a single. Rohit and Rishabh Pant, they went for the fences every other ball, and they missed a lot. It was ugly batting. It was hard work, and it was really ugly batting. But when they did connect, it flew. They hit 5 sixes between them, which is not too bad for 12 overs of a T20. You're on track for 8, 9 sixes if you do that, and that would be good even on a good deck. You're going to keep the run rate up there, and you are ultimately going to complete the job. So I don't know. I guess all in, Ross, pretty well done by India.
I think so. And on the flip side, the whole India narrative that got kind of forced down our throats was Rohit Sharma and Hardik Pandya. And actually, Hardik Pandya in the preview show, you said, do you know what? Actually, I think he's going to be quite a useful weapon in terms of how he approaches playing on these wickets. And you weren't wrong. Like, he looked to hit the deck hard, and he comes away, 3 wickets in this innings? A really nice return for Hardik.
I'll take credit for that. I don't think I did say that, but yeah, well, I'll take credit for a great prediction there. Why not? I thought India were good with the ball as well. I do think. I mean, it's hard to get your head around the pitch thing. But they did do the right thing. Like, the way to bowl in this New York venue is to bang it in back of a length and challenge people to try and pull you for 6 across the massive square boundary on a pitch where it's massively up and down, and you'll probably get a top edge or miss it. And they did a good job of that. Like, they read the room, and they did quite well. It was quite funny, to be honest, when Arshdeep Singh got knocked all over the place by the Gareth Delaney near the end, and Ireland got up to 96. Like, that did make me laugh. But
and then got run out in shambolic fashion.
Well, yeah, that was brilliant as well. But apart from that one blip, I think all of India's bowlers did exceptionally, and they were either totally unplayable or more or less unplayable.
Yeah, the two left arm spinners was interesting purely to like extend the batting order. I'm just like, lads, you're playing against Ireland. Like, literally, you can fit in Kuldeep Yadav here. You don't need to be playing Akshar and Jadeja. Pick one. You don't need both of them. But they did, and they roll around with what is a pretty big victory at the end of the day.
Ross, should we do serious cricket? Our other sponsors, serious cricket, seriously good cricket moment. Now,
for this game, or should we do it across the whole four?
Do it for the whole piece, and then we'll do the in-depth discussion about the other games after.
I do think that when you are a bowler, you're always going to have kind of prized wickets in the locker, and there's always going to be stuff that you're going to say, like, do you know what? I got to play in a World Cup, and I got to take a big wicket, and Mark Adair is going away with Virat with 1 or 5. Like, that is as a cricketing moment for. Something he'll be able to tell his grandkids around, and that's what this stuff's all about.
I'll do seriously bad cricket moment of the last couple of days, and that was the Netherlands captain, the Nepal captain, dropping Max O'Dowd when it looked like Nepal could drag themselves back into the match. Ross, I think we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and talk about the games that we saw overnight and yesterday. Does that sound good to you?
Marvellous.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast. We were talking about serious cricket just before the break. They are one of our other sponsors. If you want to pick up some cricket gear and you're living in the UK, head to the show notes now. Use our link and tuck into some swag. We're starting to get some good weather here. Like, I think we're going to see some, like, it's not good weather, is it? It's 18 degrees and dry. So
you can be outside.
You can be outside.
You can. You might not want to, but you can be outside.
Exactly. Ross, should we start with Scotland v England yesterday? I know we talked about Nepal v Netherlands, but we're going to jump around and we're going to do Scotland v England. Obviously, it was rained off, but it was rained off in an interesting position where England would have required 109 off 10 to win. Was this a get out of jail moment for England? Or do you think that Scotland will be happy that they've picked up a point that they may otherwise not have picked up?
I think this is where cricket has shot themselves in the foot a little bit. It's a classic cricket moment, this is. They got greedy, I thought, trying to play a 10-10. They should have gone and fitted in a 5-5, I thought, or kind of a 6-6 or something along those lines, because they knew rain was about. So I think they had that opportunity. There's also the other part of there's a time limit, isn't there, Jack, in terms of if there's rain for a certain amount of time, then you lose it because they're saying, well, actually, just because you're starting this game in the morning, you shouldn't be allowed to play it in the afternoon, because if a game in the evening starts and then you're starting at like 2 o'clock in the morning, that's unfair on whatever's kind of happening and the integrity of the competition, right?
The integrity of the competition.
Which is massive. Yeah, which is bad. I'm very much the side. They're going to be in Barbados anyway. If the sun comes out in the afternoon, just play it in the afternoon. Like, it was a little bit silly. But I thought Scotland did really, really well to kind of do it. George Munsey in particular, some of the stuff that he took down Rashid with was really quite spectacular with the kind of reverse hitting. I kind of go into the camp that England have enough batting to have this in the locker. I think Scotland will be going away from it being like, do you know what, a point against England is actually more than we probably could bargain for in this case. Scottish fans will be sitting there going, no, we had England on toast, and trying to chase 109 or whatever it was off 10 overs is going to be really difficult on that pitch. I'm just very much a buyer of England's batting and the approach, and what we've seen from Phil Salt and Will Jacks and Joss Butler, even in the IPL just gone, right, let alone the talent they've demonstrated in the last 18 months or so. I buy into that a little bit more than Scotland's bowling being there. But we'll never know. And it's unfortunate that the rain rules and delay rules kind of rob us of what would have been, I think, a pretty good game.
It was shaping up to be actually genuinely exciting, I thought. Now, if you looked at the betting markets, which is usually the best indicator here, England were overwhelming favourites to chase it down, like something like 75%, 80%. So England probably were going to win, but Scotland started the game with a 10% chance of victory. They'd batted in a way that gave themselves more of a chance. So I can see it from the Scottish angle. Like, actually, a lot of things have gone right to get you in a situation where you're 90 for none off 10. If you're a believer in momentum, maybe you think we can carry this off. I think in a way both teams will be kind of satisfied with it. England's whole bowling strategy is built around taking wickets. They took 0 wickets against Scotland, so
they did take one, but it was a massive no ball. It was like a Mohammed Amir style massive no ball from Mark Wood, unfortunately.
That is true. I mean, like you say, they doesn't actually count a no ball.
Yeah,
like that's not.
He ran up and just threw the ball at the stumps, so that's not a wicket, is it? So I agreed. So I think there's big questions there, Jack. Actually, like on that, it was a little bit toothless, but that was because I thought that Jones and Munsey batted really well against it. Like they demonstrated they could stand up.
Scotland aren't mugs. They aren't mugs. They're pretty good. I mean, assuming it sets up quite an interesting group now for both these teams. Assuming both lose to Australia, and that might not happen, but if both did lose to Australia, then it becomes a net run rate fight between who can beat Namibia and Oman the hardest. And Scotland might fancy their chances in that. They only need one collapse from Oman or Namibia to end up with an amazing net run rate, or England to blow it against Australia in that example and lose by 70 or something like that. There's actually a pathway through for Scotland. And also, I mean, if either beat Australia, that puts Australia in
a bit of strife.
A little bit of strife, yeah. So sets up Group B fairly well.
Makes it a little bit more interesting. Like, the games now have real jeopardy. Like before, like it's sometimes is a much of a muchness. It feels a little bit like just a procession. This makes every single game actually far more interesting now. And I also love the fact that Namibia are topping the group after that. What I was annoyed, Jack, was today that only having one game on. Didn't understand that. Why the other games not being played?
I don't really know. I think if you're in different time zones, it's like having 2 games on, isn't it? Like obviously, if you're in the States now, then there is another game on in 6 hours' time, which is evening. So you do have 2 games there. And if you're in India, you've just finished watching the second game of the day. So I think we're uniquely placed. Maybe I think Australia's got a weird time zone for this as well. I think we both agree that we would rather the games were in a coherent block where it was like, oh, okay, there's one game, then there's the next game, or or double them up a little bit. They do love dragging cricket out. Everyone who organises cricket is determined that it should be dragged out, and we are seeing that manifest itself again. Ross, should we move on to Afghanistan v Uganda? No, actually, that's probably last. I think that's last on the order. We've got Nepal v Netherlands.
Which was a great game. Really, really good game.
Yes.
I think both demonstrated that they both got that level of talent. Again, it was the kind of slugfest for the associate nations, like trying to get to about 109 runs. That seems to be kind of what their limit is at the moment. But what we saw was, one, the fantastic support from the Nepalese in the States. It was like the stadium was absolutely rocking. And what Netherlands did was really stand up. Tim, ready to mingle Pringle, was pretty spectacular with the ball up front. And I thought that Netherlands bowlers just kept on coming. And I thought they had a really good strategy against Nepal. Again, was the pitch brilliant? No, I don't think it was. Was some of the shot selection hilarious? Yes, I do think it was. Was some of the fielding hilarious? Absolutely. So I think Netherlands came away as a deserving winner in this game. But Nepal will be, they'll be fun to follow. They're not going to die trying, which I think is that's all you can hope.
Die wondering.
Die wondering. Yeah,
they are going to die.
They will die. Yeah, they will die trying. They won't die wondering. Sorry. Yeah.
I thought
when you're all action like that, if you add the high variance in, like they could be all out for 42 like the next game, but they could also beat Bangladesh, which would be absolutely hilarious. So yeah, I'm in for it.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting one from the Netherlands' point of view. I think Netherlands are quite a good team, and I don't think they showed it with the bat properly. Bowling, absolutely spot on. Like, you can't really argue with that. All 5 of your bowlers go for less than 6 and over. 4 of them take, 2 or more wickets. And the guy who doesn't bowls a really, really good spell, Vivian Kingma. The guy who actually, Ross, he literally lives on a cricket pitch. It's amazing. He goes out his front door and he's on the cricket field. Like,
he's got no excuse to be bad at cricket, then, has he? No excuse.
No,
he had to bowl well. Yeah, he had to bowl well.
He's a good bowler. I think Netherlands did kind of opposite of India, which it makes sense in a way. India are a lot better than Netherlands, and they probably have better plans and better strategies, and that's part of being better. I don't think there was any reason to take this to the 18th over, 4 wickets down, and actually make it sort of close at the end. The second last over goes for 15 runs, so the net run rate had gone over 6 and over with 2 overs to go, and
there's a couple of really easy catches that were put down, right? And if that would have happened, they were in trouble. And well, from what I saw, Levitt and Singh both got out trying to hit a little bit, but Max O'Dowd, you've got to bat quicker than that. I know they're going to go away from it being like, well, we won the game, but actually net run rate is going to potentially come into this, right? In those situations. And Nepal is the game that you have to try and hammer it down if you bowl them out for 106. So missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think basically that. I think they played it a bit too safe. I think they had. I understand if you're 4 wickets down, really, really early, but they're not. They're 4 wickets down in the 15th over when the score's on 80. Don't lose their 3rd wicket to the 13th over. They basically didn't try and win the game until the 18th over, and then when they did, they hit 15 off an over. If you do that, if you hit 15 off any of the overs earlier in the game, then you've basically broken the game. Like, that's it. It's game over. You don't have to nerdle the ball around anymore. You can swashbuckle your way to victory. And if you lose a few wickets away along the way, it doesn't matter. And if trying to hit an over 15 doesn't work, you've always got grind it out in the bank, because Netherlands have got better and more better players from a batting perspective than Nepal do. So a bit curious from Netherlands. But on the other hand, I do understand why you'd play it ultra safe if you were the Netherlands. You don't. It would be highly embarrassing to lose that game from the situation they were in. I'm not absolutely convinced that in this case we should be shouting that's a terrible pitch as well. I think that might have been just a kind of regulation. Yeah, a regulation not very good T20 deck where 150 would be a good score, and Netherlands have done all the hard work with the ball and then not chalked it off when it came to batting. Yeah.
Let's shift our attention then. Afghanistan, pretty much they destroyed Uganda. I think it's probably fair to say. It was an absolute mauling. This
not a sentence you're expected to hear ever, really, is it? Afghanistan have destroyed Uganda. That's a Cricket World Cup, baby.
Yeah, and I thought that the captain of Uganda kind of said as much, right? He said there was nerves, but he was really proud to see my flag at the World Cup and all this kind of stuff, which is great from Masaba. But at the same time, they've got to actually try to be a little bit more competitive. But Afghanistan here just showed how good they were. We said in the preview, they've got an awful lot of talent that actually you recognise in this lineup. And it was kind of the IPL stars that you know who did the damage, right? Gurbaz up front with a great innings, and then Fazil Faruqi was, in particular, amazing. And I just think that this bowling lineup is really, really strong for Afghanistan. It's the batting that is the problem. And Rashid Khan, before the game, said as much, said, when this team needs to be able to get to 200 consistently if we're going to have any chance at progressing in this World Cup. And he's spot on there. That is the bit. But Zadran and Gurbaz showed that it is definitely possible with this lineup. But there's going to need to be some really good things that go their way throughout this tournament if they're going to make it further. But a healthy run rate.
Yeah, they've got a great run rate now. It is a team of all-rounders, isn't it? Nabi at 4, Gulbuddin Naib, Keegan bowl a bit, can't he? Omazai, Rashid Khan. Basically the entire, more or less the entire team can turn their arm over, and some of them pretty well. It's a decent outfit overall, and I think probably a bit too much for Uganda. I was a bit disappointed not to see our boy Frank Unsabuga play. He played in the last fixture, I think, between Uganda and Afghanistan, which took place in Buenos Aires in 2009. So that would have been an amazing journey for Frank Unsabuga and the Afghanistan cricket team. I don't know. I mean, I guess Mohammed Nabi probably played in that game too.
Yeah.
But that would be about it. So that would have been. I think that would have been a nice story. I don't know, from a bowling point of view, Ross, is there anything we should or anything we should have learned from Afghanistan, or did they just roll them over and that's the job?
They rolled over, tickled their belly. What is going to be interesting now, though, is the shootout between West Indies, Afghanistan, and New Zealand. So we've not seen New Zealand play yet, because obviously there's 5 in the group. West Indies did not do themselves justice against a spinning of what Papua New Guinea had. Afghanistan's spin bowlers are far beyond the realms of Papua New Guinea's bowlers, who are their pacers. Depending on what happens there, that is a huge, huge game, and West Indies need to be wary of that threat. So I'm liking how this is set up. But a net run rate of +6 is a lovely start for Afghanistan, and gives them the slight advantage over West Indies, I think, going into that.
Yeah, it certainly is. Ross, there's some games coming up. Tomorrow, 4:30 UK time, which is in the afternoon sometime in the States, or morning rather. United States v Pakistan. I think it's fair to say on our prediction show, which you should go back and listen to, it's only one episode ago, we weren't too positive about Pakistan. Do you envisage an upset at Grand Prairie Stadium?
It's not a completely against the cards. I think this would be perhaps What's it? It's been threatening, is what I'm going to say. The upset has been threatening. Yesterday, obviously, with England and Scotland. Before that, it was the West Indies versus Papua New Guinea. So it's been threatening. If there is one team to bring that to life, Pakistan normally fit that bill for everybody. And they can start tournaments relatively slowly sometimes and put themselves under real pressure. And then that pressure gets seemingly the best out of them. The United States started off really well. Their confidence is going to be sky high. They are coming up against a different kettle of fish when it comes to this bowling lineup, and Pakistan's Shaheen in particular and Harish Rauf are very, very handy. So I'm going to say that Pakistan will have enough about them on this occasion, but do not rule out a shock result against Pakistan at some point in this group stage.
Cool. And then I think our next podcast, we haven't quite worked this out yet, probably won't be on Friday. It'll probably be on Saturday morning or something like that. So 2 games on Saturday. And if we do one before, we do one before. Crazy World Cup schedule that it is. New Zealand v Afghanistan and Sri Lanka v Bangladesh, Ross. They're pretty big games.
Well, they are. And are we just missing out Papua New Guinea, Uganda, Australia, Oman, and Namibia, Scotland that is happening tomorrow?
Yeah, we are.
Fine.
Can't do them all, can we? If there's one you want to talk about, you can talk about it.
No. I think Namibia Scotland will be a really good game. I think that is going to be a ding dong. And the other 2 you could probably just not watch. When it comes to New Zealand versus Afghanistan, that is again a really, really important game in this group. And I'm looking forward to seeing New Zealand actually play. Devon Conway back fit is huge, and they've tried to do something a little bit different in their T20s recently. So Finn Allen kind of opening up, and he's a blistering talent, right? So I'm hoping to see a little bit more intent rather than just kind of a relatively conservative Kane Williamson-led New Zealand. But Afghanistan do have a chance there. Sri Lanka Bangladesh is the biggest rivalry in world cricket. Like there could be a punch-up, Jack. Like that is how extreme this is. And Angela Matthews last time has got a bit between his teeth, no doubt. Dare I say, man-cad opportunity in this game?
I think it certainly is. I actually genuinely think whoever loses the Sri Lanka Bangladesh game might as well pack their bags. They're not gonna, because that's it, isn't it? Like if Sri Lanka have lost 2, they're not going to manage to overcome everyone else that they need. They'll finish below the Netherlands. South Africa are going to win that group. They've already beaten Sri Lanka. They're definitely going to beat Bangladesh. So Bangladesh need to win against everyone else. Like it's an early.
It's the first knockout. It's the first knockout game of the tournament.
First knockout game of the tournament. And if you want to watch it, it's on at 1:30 a.m. UK. I know. I mean, I know there are other time zones available, but when
we live in the home of cricket, Jack, we get the right to say time zones are a problem.
We invented this game, goddammit. Roth, I think that's pretty much everything for this pod. Any final words from you?
Just how Canada and Ireland play against each other. So Ireland need to bounce back to have any chance of progressing. But Canada will not go down without a fight. Whilst Australia will absolutely steamroll Oman, you can imagine. No, I think that everything is going okay. I would like to see slightly better pitches. It's going to be interesting to see how the ICC no doubt intervene to sort out some of the pitches in the United States. But overall, a pretty decent start. And I think the weather actually has made it a little bit more interesting with the result of England and Scotland drawing.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back, I think, Saturday morning, something like that. And obviously, we'll be doing a preview of the game we haven't mentioned yet, India v Pakistan, which is this Sunday, 3:30 p.m. UK time. Goodbye.